Let's look at equation of the straight line. Now remember, from previous videos we saw that the general form of a straight line is y equals mx plus c, where m is the gradient and c is the y-intercept. Now, in order for you to have the equation of a straight line, you must have a value for m and also have a value for c. You won't need a value for y and x because the fact is, as you go along the line, you have x here and y here at one point. You have a different x here and a different y here. A different y, a different x and y. So x and y are variables. That means they vary, they change as you move along the line. But m and c remain constant. So those are constants, right? Now an example of the equation of a straight line might look somewhat like this. Y equals 2x plus 3, where you have the gradient is 2 and the y-intercept is 3. Alright? Now, how about we calculate the gradient of a straight line when given two coordinates of the line? Let's do that. So, you're given 2 points. You have 1, 3, and let's say and 5, 8. Alright, given that and that as points on the line, find the gradient, not just the gradient, the equation, but I could say find gradient and y-intercept. Alright, so these are 2 points on the line. I want to find the gradient and the y-intercept. Let me make my writing a bit smaller because we're going to need a space. We have 1, 3, 5, 8. 1, 3, 5, 8. I don't want to forget it. So we have 1, 3 as one coordinate. And we have 5, 8 as the other pair of coordinates. Alright, so these are points on a line. Determine the gradient, the y-intercept, and write down the equation of the line. Alright, good. So given these pieces of information, we should write down the equation of this line. Alright? Now, you have 1, 3 and 5, 8. It's useful to try to visualize what it is you're doing. So, let's imagine that this is our line. We won't use any graph paper here for that. We have 1, 3. Let's say 1, 3 is here. And we have 5, 8. Use the X. We have 5, 8 here. Alright? Now, we could very well draw our triangle and use a rise over run. But let us use the formula to calculate the gradient of this line. So the gradient, I represent it using m, is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Now in this case, let's say this is our point 1. So we have x1, y1 here, and this is our point 2. So we have x2, y2 here. Now, our y2 is 8. So this is equal to 8 minus our y1 is 3. 3 divided by x2. x2 here is 5 minus x1 is 1. Okay, so what we have here is 8 minus 3 is 5, and then 5 minus 1 is 4. So the gradient is 5 divided by 4, which is the same as 1 and a quarter, 1.25. So that's the gradient of the line, right? That's the gradient. Now, what we want, the next thing, is the y-intercept, because the fact is we can write part of the equation here by saying y equal 1.25x plus c. We need c. So how do you do that now? The thing is, we have a y and an x at this point. So we can substitute the 3 for the y. We can substitute 3 for the y and 1 for the x, because at point 1 our y is 3 and our x is 1. So let's do that. We want to find c. Y is 3 equal 1.25 times x is 1 plus c. So this becomes 3 equals 1.25 plus c. Now c is going to be equal to 3 minus 1.25, right? That's going to be 3 minus 1.25, which is what? 3 minus 1.25, 3 minus 1 is 2, and 2.00 minus 0.25. If you have a quarter, if you have 2 and you take a quarter away, then you will have 1 3/4 left. 1 3/4, which is 1.75. So C is equal to 1.75. Let's just try the 5/8, the point at 5/8, and see if we will get the same answer before we go any further with this question. Here, if you look at the next point and you say y equal 1.25x plus c, at point 2 up here, what we have is y is 8 equal 1.25 times x, which is 5, plus c. Right? Now, 8 is equal to 1.25 multiplied by 5. 1.25 times 5. Right? No, 5.00. So, 5 5 25. We have 5 here. And then 5 2s 10, 11, 12. 12, bring down the 2. 5 1 5 1 1 6. So what we have, 6 2 5. We just line up these zeros. But 1.25 by 5 is going to be 6 point something. 6.25. Could also say, what is a quarter of 5? Right? 1 multiplied by 5 is 5, because we have 1 times 5 here, and then 5 times 25. 5 times 25 is 625. So all right, so we have 6.25 here. Now what we're going to do next, so you have 6.25 plus C plus C. Nice. That's 6.25 plus C right there. And then we say C equals 8 minus 6.25. Calculate that and see what you get. 8 minus 6 is 2, so it's 2 minus 0.25. 2 minus a quarter is the same as 1 3/4. So you have the same 1.75, right? So what that is saying is that you really could use any of the points to calculate C, right? You could use point 1, where you have y equals 3 and x equal 1, or you could use point 2, where you have y equal 8 and x equal 5, and then you do your calculation. All right, now what you're going to do is write down the entire equation of the line. So what is the equation of the line? What I want you to do is write that down for me. Write down the equation of the line, the full equation of the line. Alright, good. What did you get as the full equation of the line? Let me erase some of these things and we see exactly what the equation of the line is. Let's get rid of this and this. I don't want to rub out the C down here. Now, what you will have is y equals 1.25 x plus C, which is 1.75. All right, 1.25 x plus C, which is 1.25. Sometimes you might want to, or in some books on our website, they don't use the points, they use fractions. So, and you use the improper fractions when writing this down. So let's look at other ways you could write down this equation. All right. Let me erase some of these things first. It can be a bit distracting when you have so many things all over the board. And let's see how we can write down this equation other than writing it as y equal 1.25x plus 1.75. 1.25 is 1.25. And as an improper fraction, this is 4 times 1 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. Is 5/4. So y is equal to 5/4 x plus 1.75 is the same as 1 3/4. 1 3/4, if you turn it in improper fraction, 4 multiplied by 1 is 4. 4 plus 3 is 7, so you have 7 fourth. 7 fourth. You can write it that way. But also, if you multiply everything by 4, right? The y will be multiplied by 4 to get 4y equals, 4 cancels itself here, because if you multiply this by 4, 4 into 4, 1, 4 into 4, 1. So you have 5x plus 7 over 4 times 4 is 7. So the entire equation is flat right here. No fractions are in it. So this is one way that you could write down the equation. This is okay too, right, as well as this. But sometimes you might be asked to write it like this, or you write it like this, because it seems a little more elegant than all of these with the fractions and the points and so on. So you have 4y equals 5x plus 7. So that is the equation of a line from two pairs of coordinates from 2 points. So as a quick review, you're asked to find the equation of this line, well, the gradient and the y-intercept, as well as the equation from the fact that you have 2 points, 1, 3 and 5, 7. You don't necessarily have to do it, but it's nice to be able to kind of see what you're doing. So you sketch a little line, whether or not it's really going to be exactly like the line that you're looking for. Whoever asks the question, it's not really important. You sketch this line. You identify 2 points on it. Say one of them is 1, 6 and the other is 5, 8. And you label them as your x1, y1, x2, y2. Then you apply the formula. You identify which coordinate was y1. Even if you put x1, y1 up here and x2, y2 down here, you'll get the same answer, right? So you identify which one y1 is, and you put the number here. Which one of them is y2? Instead of y2, you put the number here. And you divide by x2 minus x1. You identify x2 minus x1 as well. And then when you calculate this, what you get is the gradient of the line. Alright? Now to find C, you just use one of the points. This equation has, it would have 3 unknowns. At this point, you have y and you have x. So you only end up with one unknown, which is C. Right? So when you do that, you put the number 3 for y equals 1.25 times x, and use the x and y for the same point. Don't use the x for down this point and the y for up here, the other point. No. Stick to one point at a time. So when you put in the value for x and y at this point, you see when you work it out, you will see what is called the equation of the line. Right? You could have used 5 and 8 and come up with the equation. I'm going to ask you to do that as your homework for me. Use 5 and 8 and see if you come up with the same equation. Alright. So I will see you in the next video.